So, but do you think that we were talking a lot about taxes? Do you think we'll be able to get tax done in spite of not getting the health care issue resolved?
Yes, because as Dagan says, and I agree with her on this one, it's in some ways it's easier to get taxes done because, number one, it doesn't impact people's health. It impacts their pocketbook.
Right.
And so, secondly, I believe that the appetite on the part of the American people is for tax simplification, tax cuts. We know, we've been talking about, we got the highest in the world for over 10 years now. I think the American people have an appetite
but there's
for
also
that.
this whole disagreement when it comes to taxes as well. I mean, we had Peter King on, Congressman King from New York, recently, and he said, I will not support any bill that eliminates the deduction for property taxes.
Here we go.
Okay, so there you go. There's just one deduction that's supposed to go away. Peter King said, I'm not going to support it if it goes away. Then you've got others who say, I'm not going to support anything that doesn't have any revenue because we're going to bust the debt and deficit. And there you go. So is it going to be revenue neutral? Do you need something like a border adjustment tax? So you do have disagreement when it comes to tax reform.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to be the debate because individual senators, individual congressmen, they're going to be trying to get their favorite little piece in there, and that's been part of the problem. However, I happen to believe because we have a president that understands the economic impact, he's going to be helping to drive the message, we've got to do this. Now remember, the reason I say it's not going to be easy, 535 people is like herding cats. And if we get anything, we'll be lucky.
Yeah, I think the key to this thing, Herman, too, has got to be not only corporate tax, but it's got to be for the small business person, the person that files on their personal tax basis.
Exactly.
We've got to be able to cascade that down to help the small businesses, subchapter Cs. And that'll get more popular opinion and support behind it, I think, don't you?
I absolutely agree.
Well,
and I believe more and more people are starting to really understand just what they're paying in taxes.
How do you make sure there's not fraud in that system, though? How do you make sure people don't say, oh, yeah, I'm a limited partnership? I mean, you know, and so that I could get the 15%.
You got to create one. I mean, you got to have...
But are you going to have everybody creating limited partnerships so that they could get a 15% corporate tax rate? I mean, there's a way to get around the system that they have to come up with ways that people won't be able to.
Some people are always going to try to beat the system.
Right.
You're not going to totally eliminate it. Let's do what helps 95% of the businesses and individuals in this country. That's where I'm coming from.
And you know, if you said it's going to be difficult, let's remember it's been 30 years since there's been a major tax overhaul in this country. You know, you talked about the president understanding the economic impact. And so I'm wondering if you think that there will be, you know, there will be policy in potential tax reform that will allow businesses to have confidence this is going to be more than just a 10-year tax cut, that these are going to be long-ranging changes so that they have the confidence as a business to invest, to stop sitting on so much cash, to really drive that economic change that you're talking about.
I believe that the confidence that that's going to happen is reflected in the current stock market performance. That's all betting that we are.
It's a bubble?
Yeah, no, we're going to get simplicity, we're going to get cuts, we don't know how much, but it's going to be long term. It's not going to be like the Bush tax cuts. The Republicans have to fall back and say, okay, the Democrats will go along with it if we do this much and we sunset it. No, I don't think this president is going to have a sunset clause in what we do because we need it for a long time.
I think this president would sign just about anything that
I've got pen in hand.
At this point, just to say that he's gotten a clear victory. And I think in hindsight, I mean, the biggest victory that this White House has had is the GOP in the House passing that health care bill. And then it went to Nowheresville.
And when it came, if I may,
the Senate should have voted on that bill.
They should have voted on that bill.
I just can't believe that you have these Republican senators who wouldn't step up and at least allow debate
on that bill.
On the health care bill.
And the House is upset about it.
And by the way, the Republican moderates, who I'm calling Democrats from now on, they got what they want. I've talked about this with Herman yesterday. There was $45 billion in funding for opioid and heroin addiction treatment. $45 billion, that's 40 times more than President Obama wanted. And you have triple-digit increases in the spending in Health and Human Services and in the Justice Department on these very addictions. And that's still not enough money. This is more money than these Republican senators even know how to spend.
And why? Why? Just to kowtow to those people who wanted to keep those Obama taxes in there.
The taxes.
So that they could use that money to go and
that's where some of the money. That's where some of the money came from.
Correct.
So the $172 billion in revenue raised by keeping those taxes.
And to use it to appease their insurance backers.
Yes.
Let's not forget.
Special interest,
Good point.
A lot of them, Dagan came up with a great metaphor yesterday. All of them, both sides, are drinking from the trough. And they're eating the slop. And it's called insurance companies pouring slop into the bin.
Bingo.
And that's part of the problem. So they'll come up with an excuse that might look good on TV, but it's really, they don't want to offend some of their insurance backers.
Herman, that's why I listen to your radio show. I love that straight talk.
Thank you.
You got all big fans here this morning. Let me ask you, do you think that this failure, this setback on health care is going to mean a failure for the entire economic agenda for 17?
No, I don't think so.
So you think they'll, so 6 or 7 months after making the decision to do health care before tax reform, they reverse it and say, okay, we got to get to tax reform right now?
Let's put it in perspective. Remember, approximately 80% of the people have health insurance through their employer. That's not going to change this year, probably not going to change next year. Maybe the rates will go up a little bit that the employer will pass on. Then you've got that group of people that don't get it through the employer. They're in the individual market. Here's a statistic that Senator David Perdue gave me that nobody has ever brought up. Do you know that nearly 8 million people chose not to buy Obamacare?
She brought it up. She's been bringing it up for months.
Not to buy Obamacare. Okay? Secondly, they paid the penalty, $1.6 trillion. Here's the shocker.
Some of them stopped paying their taxes so they didn't get caught and had to pay the penalty.
50% of them make $50,000 a year or less of the people who said, I don't want Obamacare. And they're not factoring that in.
That's right.
And that's why the whole CBO analysis is flawed.
Right, right. But it's a great talking point for the left.
It's a
Oh,
great
my God,
talking
20
point for the
people
left.
are not going to have insurance.
Exactly. I missed it when she said it.
Yeah, she's been saying it over and over again.
Watch every morning, Herman. Where are you at 6 a.m.?
Getting ready for a
We're listening to you on the radio.
Bob will tell you.
That's right, Herman. Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes,
Herman,
sir.
it's good to see you. Thank
Always
you so
good to be
much.
here.
Great
Thank you.
analysis
Thanks,
from you as
everybody.
always. We appreciate
Great.
your time.
Thanks,
Herman
Happy to
Cain
be
joining
here.
us there.